Although this is an official segment, I still give honors to the Most Highs. Therefore, I rise giving praise to Almighty God Allah, His Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the forerunner and harbinger Marcus Mosiah Garvey, all officials of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science of the world, all officials of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and the Moorish Divine and National Movement. I give high honors and praise to you all. It's about 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. I've been up all day, all night, taking on the affairs of men. And I got to a point where I was tired. I am tired now. I know you can see it. And frustrated. And I'm frustrated with the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Anti-Defamation League and Fowler and Fitch, two municipal detectives. They are policemen with a detective status that adheres or supports or defends or enforces the corporate public policy of Greensboro, North Carolina. So, them traveling from police academy to police academy, telling slanderous and defaming lies about our Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Divine National Movement. All right, it's criminal activity, it's genocide, and I'm not making any radical speeches toward them. I'm just putting out some facts. See, because when you tell law enforcement that they're just as dangerous as other entities who do not look like we Moorish Americans, I've seen several reports, or I've seen Nightline, 60 Minutes, and with that being said, let me take a moment to send blessings and prayers out to the law enforcement and their families of the law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty. My heart and soul goes out to them, because no one should lose their life doing their jobs, making a living for their family. Especially when they're trained in a way where they believe that they are enforcing laws, and not understanding a lot of times they're enforcing corporate public policies. So they actually go out ill-equipped in law. So, and I'm not trying to justify what happened, because what happened was a travesty. The point that I'm making is that Moorish Americans don't do that. There's not one case where you hear of a Moorish American taking those actions. And I'm being vague because Act 4 of our additional law says we can't make radical speeches toward people. But one of our principles, our second principle, is truth. So I have to speak the truth. And time again, I've seen these reports and these training videos where throughout the whole training video, the person that is giving them conflict looks like them. Then at the very end, they'll show an old plate. Like the one from the old Washita plate, when our Empress Verdiasi Gostin Il Bey was up and working hard on the Empire Washita. And then another one at the very, very end, I believe it was either 60 Minutes or Nightline, where this man was talking about, hey, look, if somebody stops me and gets in the way of my constitutional rights, yes, right, I'm going to shoot him. And that person looked like the reporter he was talking to, and looked like the people who have been killed. Then at the very end of that particular show, they show an identification of a Moor. not a Moorish American, but one of the indigenous tribes. They show a picture of that in the internet article that Fowler and Fitch initiated. In the background, they had a Washita plate. Had it in his hand. Had 50 other types of plates, but had the Washita plate in the hand. All right, making again Moors an issue. All right, so I will reiterate, through this little session, that there are boundaries, and you might hear me say things over and over again, but there are lawful boundaries between the corporate public policy of a municipality or a county jurisdiction that is supposed to be constitutional in nature, all right, and a religious jurisdiction. In the Moorish Divine and National Movement is a theocracy. It is a government whose laws come from their God and is reiterated or interpreted by an earthly representative. In our case, it's Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So we are a theocracy, which is another type of government other than a democracy. Then in 1928, our prophet thought it proper to add on a religious corporation, which is a type of non-profit organization that is acknowledged by the United States Corporation and other governments on a subnational level. A subnational level is an administrative division, which are divisions. In other words, they're entitled to a portion of autonomy, and they are required to organize their own local government, being a nation entirely within a nation. That is the legislature of the corporate public policy of the United States Corporation, of the state of. It's codified in every state. So that is an acknowledgement that we're supposed to have our own government. And everything that the municipal or the corporate government has, we are supposed to have. That's exactly what that insinuates. That's what it implies. The local legislature, and I'm being very vague because the local legislature says the same thing in most states. It's after the Religious Restoration Act of 1993. All right. Although they repealed it, what they did was require each state to come up with their own version of it so that it applies generally to all religions. All right. But basically what it says in the Freedom of Religious Freedom Act is that no official of the state or subdivision of the state may burden a person's religious belief and practices. That's in the legislature of just about every state of this union on the corporate side. All right. So to make the assumption that we disobey their laws is a lie. We know that basically all laws are contract. So if we don't have a contract with your private corporation, and let me add this. In the legislature in South Carolina, in the history, it's very specific because it says that religious corporations are entitled to more immunities than non-profit or profit corporations. Well, the motor vehicle department is a private for-profit corporation and is diverse in nature to a religious corporation, as well as the local municipalities and county jurisdictions, They are for a profit. So our religious corporation is diverse in nature to those entities. And this fact comes from your legislature. I'm not even dealing with our Moorish customary law, which, as I'll reiterate later, stems on our book of law, the Quran Circle 7, our divine constitution and bylaws, our additional laws, our general laws, and our doctrine. The legislature also says that if the doctrine of the religious corporation is in conflict with the laws of that state, that the religious doctrine takes precedence as far as the United States Constitution or the state constitution, or both. It mentions nothing about color of law or statutory provisions, which means dealing with a Moorish American is a constitutional issue. And if a statute you're trying to enforce is not in harmony with the Constitution, it is null and void. That's the law. And I have not gotten into what Moors do, because I have a separate series for that. But my problem is, to the media, stop printing these fallacious lies and defamation of character. These are other brown people who are opportunists, who, when they get caught, they're holler the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, or they're part of a temple. It is hope that you interview some of us or one of us to find out the difference, so that when you have some clown that you catch, say he's a Moorish American, you have a guideline to interrogate him to see if he's authentically a Moorish American. Because you have some Moorish tribes that, they don't deal with religion. Period. They say they don't need it. So they're definitely not Moorish Americans. We are law-abiding citizens of our government, of our theocracy. You have some Moors that are under the impression that Act 4 and Act 5 of our divine constitution and bylaws, and download it on the internet or Google it, that Act 4 and Act 5 is talking about the democracy. That makes no sense. Why would we reference the democracy when we're a theocracy? We have our own Moorish customary laws, our own moral standards. And your legislature says you can't impair that. You can't burden that. You can't interfere with that. These are the things that we have to look at. Let's get the record straight. Let's tell the truth. Because I've encountered law enforcement. Oh, no. We don't have to. We went through a workshop and they said that anything Moorish, we don't have to deal with it. We don't have to listen to it. Or they encounter us and go, oh, yeah, you guys are going to learn about that sovereign citizen stuff. Or you guys going to learn, you think you don't have to obey our laws, but I'm going to teach you a lesson. See, these are these violent encounters that are this stuff spewing out of law enforcement's mouth, out of their ignorance. Because they don't understand the principles of the right to travel. They don't understand, and I'm not going to go into the right to travel in this issue. All right? But motor vehicle has a specific definition. Automobile has a specific definition. A driver has a specific definition. An operator has a specific definition. A passenger. All of these are commercial terms, except for automobile. Because when you're talking about private, you're talking about car or horseless carriage. automobile or a household appliance, which is an instrument utilized around the house to ensure the comfort and availability or convenience for a family household. An instrument used to take you to the grocery store, to church, to work, so on and so forth. Whereas a motor vehicle is a mode of transportation used for commerce. Like I said, I won't go far into that. But your law enforcement needs to know that those cars that are registered are motor vehicles. If they are not registered, they are not motor vehicles. And there's no law on the books for nationals that say you must register your private property and turn it into a motor vehicle. And I emphasize nationals, constitutional citizens. Our prophet upon conversion brought us back to the constitutional fold of government 100 years ago. That's how long we've been converted back to the constitutional fold. Well, even longer, because our forefathers, our Moorish forefathers, fought in the Revolutionary War, founded the organic constitution for the United States of America. They are the authors of the great binding law of Ganagunkuish, the Iroquois Confederation, the Algonquin Confederation, the Cherokee Federation, or Salagi. We are those people. The Gullahs. We are those people. We are those people that when Christopher Columbus got here, he saw us. To Cuba. He still saw us. And it was Moors that brought him here. And even in his own memoirs, he said that he saw Moors sailing back the other way. Which means that he didn't discover anything, but the Atlantic Ocean is a highway that's been used long before he even knew it existed, because they thought the world was flat. Fact. So our Moorish identity on this continent goes back thousands of years. Back to the Songhai Malian dynasties, where, the founding of the Olmecs, those Moors, those Moroccans from the various empires who came here and amalgamated with the Aboriginal and indigenous people here to form the Olmecs, then later the Toltecs, then the Mushen, then the Mishen. Then you have your Aztecs and your Mexicans. Then you have your Washoe or Wichita. Then you have the Washita Nation. Then came the Yamasee Uprising, the 10-year war. After that, you had your Cherokee Confederation, where you had your Choctaw Cherokee, Chickasaw Cherokee, Blackfoot Cherokee. So then you have your Gullah Wars, or your Seminole, what they call Seminole Wars. Then you have your French Indian Wars. Every time they said that, they were talking about Moors. So this is why the prophet told us we must go back to the ways of our ancient forefathers' divine principles. Here, not just Spain. While they were fighting in Spain, we were fighting off the Mongolians from the north, who were trying to take over Turtle Island, or some of the Manchurians used to call it Dum Sun, Golden Mountain. See what I mean? This is the real history that everybody needs to know, so they can stop calling us black. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were black. You look black to me. There's some judges that said that. Well, you look black to me. Are you from Morocco? Do you have a passport? Have you done DNA? Key 14 of our 101 questionnaires tells us we're descendants of Moroccans and born in America. This is what we're taught to believe. This is our religion. It also teaches us that we are the descendants of the Moabites, the Amorites, and the Hittites, who later became the kingdoms of Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, and Tripoli. Today, we know them as the Barbary Treaties, one of them being Morocco, and now you're talking about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, being the first people to recognize the European settlers as a nation. So our religion teaches us that we are direct descendants. Our religion teaches us that we are descendants of the ancient Moabites, which is the bloodline, per Matthew's first chapter, is the bloodline of Jesus. This is why we discuss the lost 18 years of Jesus, whom we call justice, from the time he left at 12 till he came back at 30. And that's the truth. So I'm putting these out there to counter what the media is talking about. We're too busy trying to reclaim our vast estate. And not to declare war on anybody. Our vast estate are the people. We are not sovereigns because Allah, Father of the universe, is our sovereign. And he has raised our prophet to sovereign power, Noble Drew Ali. And we are his subjects. So Moorish American Muslims are not sovereigns. We are subjects to the sovereign, Noble Drew Ali, who was brought here by Allah, Father of the universe. That is the philosophy of Moorish Americans. So we can't be sovereign. So quit putting us in that mix with the sovereign citizens. Please. As I reiterate later, men, women, and children are losing their lives. I've received reports of women being snatched out of their cars and slung to the ground. Families being jumped on in court. Turbans being snatched off their heads and fezzes knocked off their head. Threatened with tasers. Even tasered. Handcuffed, then pepper sprayed. Threatened to take their children from them. In some cases, taking their children from them. Not acknowledging their free national descent names. Committing a trespass on the estate trusts. Mixing and matching in names from the Moorish name to the Christian name to disguise the additional trust being made. Making oodles and oodles of money off of that estate trust. This has been going on for years. I've experienced it personally myself, where my whole family has been decimated. So, I would like to go into another segment that's on my mind. And like I say, I'm just talking to, cyberspace because these things really, really upset me, and I have been a personal victim of it. So I would like to just kind of, take a break, and then I'll be right back with you. Peace. For now.